Hello, Multiverse. Welcome to Omniverse Gamers. I am Damien Bizzaio. Today's video is about preparation and how much you should have prepped for your session. Now, I get this question a lot. How much do you prepare? How much should I prepare? What do you need to have at the table to be ready to Dungeon Master? Now, this is nothing to do with world building. This is about running your session. Not world building is a whole other part of preparation. It is an important part of preparation, but this is dealing with table sessions and how to show up at your table and be ready to run a fairly fun session with the most least amount of work you can possibly do. So there's two parts of preparation. I run games on a 2-week cycle. So I have kind of a system where I have my ideas and I have my practical physical things that I need. So you need some ideas, obviously. So things you need for session ideas are like your locations, your NPCs, your some basic encounter ideas. You know, maybe the goals of the encounter and the physical assets you're going to need to run that encounter, the environment, how you're going to represent that environment, just ideas about how you're going to present that to your players, basically. And then what I like to have is like 2 to 6 monster ideas, always kind of in the works in my head. Now you don't, however many you think you're going to need, it depends on how you play. I like to prepare minimal. I'm a minimal preparer. I run like 4 or 5 games right now that are pretty regular. So I have a really streamlined system for preparing for a session. And what I do is I'm prepared for the least amount that I'm ever going to need plus 3. It's called my plus 3 technique, and I'll get into that a little bit later. So for ideas, say you're running all day. You're running your session all day. You know you're going to have 3 or 4 combats, which is rare. Like we usually have 1 combat per night. We run 3-hour sessions. We usually have 1 massive combat per night, sometimes 2. That doesn't happen as much. I like the power game these days. I prepare for 3-hour sessions, but you can still do that in a say you're going to play for 8 hours. You're not really going to play for 3 hours. You're going to mess around. You're going to talk. You're going to chit chat. You're going to get 6 hours of solid play in, basically. So you're going to need stuff for 6 hours of play. Now, depending on the game you run, you might be heavy combat heavy, you might be roleplay heavy, you don't need as many combats, you might need more NPCs. An encounter is not just a physical encounter, it's also like the NPCs you interact with, the plot lines you kind of develop, the interactions they're going to have, and the plots they're going to develop from those interactions, which is a whole other thing we're going to talk about. Player agency, player-driven plots versus DM-driven plots, that's another video. So for my sessions, I know I'm going to go into most sessions. I need at most 2 encounters. Usually it's just 1 big one, but sometimes I like to prepare for 2 just in case. You never know. Sometimes things go fast depending on how many players you have. I run anywhere from 3 to 7 players, sometimes 8 players. That's obviously with 8 players, 1 combat's going to be an hour, 2 hours, which is long. Which you can. There's ways to make that more fun. Then you don't don't worry about the length of combat. Worry about the fun of combat. That's a whole other video I'm going to make too in the future. So what I know, I know I need 1 encounter. So I'm going to think about what are they going to encounter? What kind of environment are they going to meet? What kind of goals do the monsters have that I'm going to have them, or the bandits or enemies, monsters, enemies, whatever you want to call it? What are their motivations going to be? Why is this encounter happening? So I spend the first week of my prep just kind of milling that around in my head. I don't do anything concrete. I just think about where they might go, what encounter would be there, what the environment would be, and then I start to, once I have that in my brain, I'll think about, well, what monsters would go to that environment, or what monsters do I want them to go up against? And you can do that in reverse. You can start with, oh, there's this really cool monster I saw in the monster manual. I want my players to go up against this. So you start kind of thinking the ideas of that monster. Where would he be based on where the players are? How do I get my monster in? How do I make an encounter surrounding this monster? So you can go both ways with that. You can start with an encounter and add your monster in, or you can start with a monster and build the encounter around that monster. It works both ways, and actually I would suggest doing both all the time, because as you go back and forth, you'll have an encounter, you're like, well, I like this encounter, I want to have this, bugbears in it, but now bugbears don't really fit in this encounter, so maybe I'll add, something different. I'll add some gnolls in here, because they're a little bit more primal and violent, and that fits this encounter. But then, as you were thinking about bugbears originally, now you have a basis. Now, well, what would work with bugbears? Kind of spread out from. Don't ever waste anything. Anything you think about, keep track of it. Keep it in a notepad. I have it on my phone. I have a little note. I just write little notes. Anytime I think of something, I just write it, because my phone's always on me. So just let's write a little notepad. Oh, this. These Noel. It'd be cool if this Noel had like 1 leg and he wanted to come steal their leg just because he's he's jealous of legs. That's a stupid concept, but you can make a whole encounter based on that. You know, go for it. Just little ideas like that you see, or if you're watching a movie, like, oh, that's really good. That sword attack was really cool. I want to have a weapon, an enemy that can just come through and cut everyone right in half. That's my major attack that I'm going to base my encounter on, and just kind of go from there. Whatever you get, whatever your initial inspiration is, start from that basically for your encounters. So then, as you're doing that, so as I was going back to what I was saying about, I know I'm only going to need one encounter, maybe two. But for my prep, because I can run 5 games now, and there's a reason I can run 5 games right now, I'm always 3 encounters and 3 monsters ahead of what I need. So I know I'm going to need 1 monster and 1 encounter, say on Friday night. I have 4 of them ready to go. I have 4 encounters ready to go. Because some of my games, my Friday night game is on a rail, so I know where it's going to go. But some of my West March games, some of my player-driven games, I really don't know where they're going to go. They're going to go in 7 different directions. But I'm okay with that because I have, not only do I have 1 encounter prepared, I have 4 encounters ready to go. I'm 3 ahead, and I have 3 extra monsters that I know I might need them, I might not need them, but I have them ready to go. So if they go somewhere I wasn't prepared for, I'm always prepared. I always have something I can take out of my binder and just insert into this game and just, yeah, that was part of the game the whole time. How do they know? They don't know. You're making it up. There's no difference between you making it up before and you making it up right at the table. There's no difference play-wise. And the benefit of that is you don't have to, because some people over-prepare. I know some people, they'll world build for like 6 months and building this great epic world and it's going to be awesome. And it probably will be awesome, but as you're doing that, you're not prepping for the table. You're building a world, which is great, but world building does not help you run sessions. Running sessions can help you world build. It kind of, you know, I'm not saying don't world build. If you love it, do it. But if you have your strapped for time, less is more. Less can be more as far as that. So for ideas, obviously you need location where you think I always try to do a 3. I think about, so my rule of 3. So think about where my players are right now. I think about the 3 different directions they could go. Obviously, they can go anywhere, but no matter where they go, you can adjust the encounter. This was going to be a null encounter, supposed to be in the east, but now they're going west. Oh crap! Well, I guess if you world build and you have a map and you're set into this big detailed map, you're kind of stuck with that map. If you don't have a world map, if you're just kind of, if they're exploring as they go, oh, they were going to go to the west where I thought the gnolls were going to be. Now they're going east. Well, maybe I guess the gnolls live in the east now. Or well, maybe my encounter doesn't need gnolls. Now I'm going to have lizard men in the swamp instead of gnolls in the forest. Same encounter, same terrain, like sweeping terrain ideas. Just kind of mold it to a swamp as opposed to a forest. Swap out gnolls for the lizard men, because I remember I have 4 monsters ready to go. I can easily just swap them out. And if you see my other videos about changing bounded accuracy rules, you can send any monster against any party. Even though I planned this monster for my 9th level party, but now that I'm facing a 4th level party, I can easily just adjust that. That's simple. It's more about monster concept, what they can do, their cool abilities, how they use the terrain, how is the terrain going to change during this battle. Like if you're in a forest, maybe you're fighting a hill giant who's just going to start ripping apart trees. So yeah, you had cover. Now these trees are being ripped out of the ground and thrown at you. So cover's being just thrown out the way, but then other cover's going to appear as you dodge a tree. Now you're behind a tree. Now you have more cover. So the next tree that comes at you, you can maybe duck or think about how terrain. Think of terrain as another enemy. You have your enemy, you have your main enemy. You can have your little enemies, your minions, whatever, and then you have your terrain. Those are 3 parts of any encounter. And I'll make some videos about encounters and stuff like that. How I make really interesting encounters that way. So yeah, you're going to need 3 encounter ideas. Like they have to get across the cave. They have to get through this cave to the other side to get to the door that leads to the upper edge of the castle. That's what they have to do. What you put in front of them, say you have spiders in the room. Spiders maybe don't care if you don't get in their territory, they're not going to bother the players. The players can walk right through there, nice and quiet, not disturb those spiders. That's cool. They see the spiders, it's a threat, but they're not. That's an encounter. You don't have to fight everything you see. Every encounter does not have to be a fight, unless your players want to fight things. If they want to see kill, go for it. Let them go and see kill. I like to give every encounter 2 different things going on. So I would say have that cave with the spiders on the wall, and so the players see those. But then there's also this dark. He's like a snake made of darkness, and they can't really see him unless he moves. So they don't even know he's there. They're just dealing with the spiders until they do something that disrupts the snake, and then now, oh crap! There's this invisible snake. He just bit one of us, or he's wrapped around my leg. Now you have extra. Now your encounter is twofold. The spiders are still there, just kind of chilling. Now the snake's a problem, and as you go to fight the snake, you might destroy the spiders, or maybe not. So now you have a dynamic encounter, basically. So that's where I can use my 2 monsters that I have ready to go. I have 4, so I can use 1, 2. I have 2 monsters. Now I know I'm going to need 3 more. I always have, so I have 5 monsters prepared in case they go somewhere else. I have 3 extras. And if I don't use those 3 tonight, say in this today's session, I'm still 3 ahead. So for my next session on Sunday, I make 1 more monster, maybe 2. I still have those 3 ready to go. Or I can take one of those 3 and, I'm going to use this guy because I really wanted to use those and I didn't get to use them in this one game. So I'm going to use these maybe in the next session of that game. I can mold it. Or, well, I'm going to use this on my other game on Sunday. I can just kind of update it and maybe add a different minion to it. And so having 3 monsters ahead is always a good idea. Now you can use monsters right out of the monster manual. I like to manipulate my monsters a little bit. But wherever you have that works, you go for it. So, and now that's going to lead into the physical assets that you're going to need to run a session. Now, for physical assets, you're going to need, if you're not doing theater of mind, which most people, some people do theater of mind, some people, I prefer the grids. I like to do tactical things and big set pieces and that kind of stuff. But then sometimes I just draw on crayon. I just see how my end roll video, I literally just draw on a blank piece of paper with crayon as we go. And that's just as viable. But you need some kind of encounter map in your mind, how you're going to draw it, or sometimes you can draw it on graph paper ahead of time so you have a reference and then you're drawing it. Sometimes you can print out that, you can have a map online, you can print it out. There's ways to do that. I should probably make a video about the best way to do that because I use Excel and it comes out perfect every time. Or you're either going to need a printed out map, a way to draw your map, dry erase, whatever you got that you're going to physically present your map to your people and the map in your head, how you're going to get that onto that paper. There's several ways to do that. We'll make other videos about that. Like I said, I sometimes have a graph paper reference to the map I'm going to draw. Sometimes it's just in my head. Sometimes I don't even, like on Westmarch, they're like, well, we're going to go east today. We're going to go past these cats, and we're going to go see what's beyond the forest. So I don't know what's there. They don't know what's there. I'll figure it out as they go. When they get there, I'll take one of my 3 extra encounters that I have. When I go show up to Westmarch, I usually have 5 encounters. I have all the directions and 1 extra because I don't know where they're going to go. So I need a little bit more ready to go. And the benefit of DMing so much and saving everything I ever do, I save it, so I always have a backup. So I can pull something out that I did 20 years ago. I'm not ready. So I'd say I'm not technically ready for what they did. I didn't prep for anything that they're doing. But 20 years ago, I had this idea we did, and it worked. And I'm like, well, I'm going to whip out that piece of paper from 3rd edition. I'm going to pull it out, and I'm going to convert it to 5th edition really quick, which I can do. It's not that hard. 3rd edition and 5th edition are pretty congruent as far as a lot of the numbers and stuff. Then what you're going to need is your actual monster stat blocks. So you can get those out of the monster manual anywhere. I always have a bunch going. I like to print them. I like to copy them or take a picture of them, put them in a paint or like a document, and I can edit them. I change the numbers. Sometimes I take the plus bonuses and I erase them all based on my other video where I showed you how I manipulate all that stuff. So I'll print out the stat block, but I'll take all the little numbers out. I'll leave them blank so I can just write them in with pencil. And then later, so I'm fighting a 7th level party today. I'm going to write their +7, +7, +6, whatever I need. And then maybe 2 months later, I want to use this giant shark again that I printed out and kind of manipulated, but I'm facing a 2nd level party. Well, I can always just erase those numbers and put in +2, +3, whatever I need. That's going to base it on my new party to make it a more viable combat using the same exact monster that I used up or down. So you can always, anything you do, always is good to be used again, even if it's a different monster. Say if you gave a shark a certain ability, and now I'm not using a shark today. I'm going to use a rhinoceros, but shark's still charged. Rhinoceros can still poke you. So it's have a bite. It's a jab. You can use the same stats that you had your shark with, but make it relevant to a rhino. You can always manipulate that stuff. That's a whole other video with monster manipulation. But anyway, so then some other physical things you're gonna need are depending on how many NPCs you're gonna have. You're gonna kind of want as much information on those as you need. Some DMs need to have a whole diatribe of what each NPC can do and their life and their this and that. To me, the more you have, the harder it is to present because you get kind of tripped up. It's like, oh, this guy has a whole big back history, but I only have like 30 seconds before my players just drone out. Well, this gnome lives in the village of, his parents were winemakers, and now they've kind of came on hard times. So he grew up pretty poor, so he's got this, and you've already lost your players. We're just like, there's a gnome, he's got his clothes are really fine, but his shoes are kind of worn down, like he works really hard for his money. That there's an NPC right there in one sentence, rather than going on forever and ever. And so you need basically some very basic things about your NPC. I usually give an NPC the tables in the back of the DMG are great. I don't use a DMG for a lot, but and I don't roll randomly. But you can look at the traits and be like, oh, here's a human You meet a human, they're gonna be like, yeah, whatever, meet a human. But you meet a human who has a scar on his face, and he has his hand kind of does this little twitch. That's all you need. That's an NPC right there. He may be the baker, he may be the sheriff, he may be the mayor. But you just gave him personality, something for them to remember. So it's very, that was 3 words. You can do it with 3 words. So just kind of get, and the way you think about NPCs is why is this why are they interacting with this NPC? Is this NPC going to give them a quest? Are they trying to get information off of him, which may lead to a quest? Are they going to rob him? Are they going to ask him directions? Are they just going to ask him about the town? What information? Why is this NPC here? What information are you going to give them? So it's good to have an informational NPC, a quest NPC, a conflict NPC, maybe an NPC who's in trouble that's not asking for help. But it's good to have a range of NPCs. I like to have. I just do it in my head. I've been DMing a long time, so I just kind of do it in my head. So my prep is a lot different than what a noob DM would be. But I would say have like 5 or 6 basic generic NPC ideas ready to go. And I just, honestly, for NPCs, I use the stat blocks of the book that just like Thug and Bandit, and there's a bunch of them back there. And I literally printed them out. I cut them up into little squares. I have a binder. So this is my binder. I just keep everything in here. And I have an Excel program. I keep a lot of stuff in, but most of my physical stuff is in this binder. So what I do, as you can see, if I can show this without getting sued, see, I just printed out all the little things. So I set them in these are baseball card things. These are for Pokemon. But like I can just pop this out of here. Boom. There's a spy in the back of the book. Right here, there's a bandit. It's a bandit from the back of the book. NPC, there's a stat. He's ready to go. Now, you really don't need NPC stats. That's why I just do it this way, because the point of it is an NPC. You don't want to fight them. But sometimes your players they want to kill something. Or the guy looks at them the wrong way and they want to fight him. So it's good to have those ready to go, those little stat blocks. And like I said, you can just open up the back of the book and look at them. They're there. I like to print them out. I either take a picture of my cell phone and I put it in a paint and I manipulate it. Or you can find a PDF and just print it out from there. Whatever. There's ways to do that anyway. It's good to have that. And also, in this same binder, as you'll see in the back, I have probably can't, I don't know if it'll show up on camera because the lights are super bright. But see, I have just every little monster I use, I print out and I put it in these little Penflex things. So I have Gith, I have a whole bunch of elementals, I have dryads, I have a face spider, I have all kinds of things from all kinds of books, and I just kind of keep them in here and I have them. I probably should make a reference sheet to them so I know what I have. Sometimes I end up, I need a water elemental. I'm gonna print that out, and then I go to put it in my binder. I'm like, I already printed out water elemental twice before, 2 years ago, and I forgot. So it's good to have a list. I don't have a list right now. Maybe I should organize myself before I tell you guys how to organize. But yeah, but that binder, I can literally show up to your house with this binder and my dice any night and run a game. I don't need anything else. Everything I need to run a game is in this little binder. It's every game that I've run in the last year and a half, I'd say, is in this binder. All the monsters, everything is in here. I have a folder for each game. I have and I have folders in here. I should get rid of them. I don't run those games anymore. But so that is like I said, as you DM more and more, you're going to build that up. You're going to build this up. So you're going to start with nothing, and you're going to soon have this. You're going to have so many encounters and monsters that you've run. If you remember them, if you keep track of them and write little notes, you'll always have them. So if you're running for a different group, or even for the same group, you can run, I ran an octopus against you. Well, now it's 3 years later, it's a different game. Now you're fighting a squid. It's not much different. It's a totally different encounter, totally different world, totally different thing. The stats are all the same. So the prep I already did. I already did the prep once. Every time you prep a monster once, you always got that monster prepped. Which is how. So now I always have the rule of 3, which I have more than 3 because I have that whole binder ready to go. But I still add to it every time. I always do 3 more. So I'm just adding and adding and adding. It's not universal. Some people need a lot more prep. Some people like to improv. Some people like to have everything to go. If you're running a module, it's pretty much already there for you. Your prep is going to be reading. I don't run modules. I think running a module is way harder than running your own homebrew. That's just me personally, because to me, if people that run modules, I respect them because everyone's like, modules are for people that don't have any. No, it's hard to run a module because if somebody asks you a question and you're running a module, you have to be like, I have to look in the module to answer that question. How do I know? Whereas I'm just making stuff up myself. If you ask me a question, I just think, I know the answer. I'm going to make the answer up as you ask me, or I know it already from my world building. but I'll say, oh, well, what does this NPC know about that in my head? And I'll be, oh, well, the answer is this. I just make it up, and then I note that down. It's made up. I don't have to reference anything. So I find homebrew to be less prep, not more prep, which sounds crazy because you're making it up all yourself. But the benefit of that is you're making it up all yourself, and you have the answer. You can make it up a week before, or you can make it up at the table. There's literally no difference other than usually the longer you have to think about stuff, the better you can make it. But then, I mean, I've had games that ran completely by the seat of my pants, and they were great. The sessions were great. And you just never know. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you can prepare all week, and your session still crashes. And sometimes you prepare, and it comes out great. Sometimes you don't prepare, and it just works. Everything just works. You just kind of, you're on, and just you know. So prep is a very subjective thing. Not objective. It's very subjective. So, yeah, so to prep. So when you're thinking about prepping for your session, remember to have twofold. Have your ideas and your physical assets. So ideas are your locations, your NPCs you're going to need to get your encounters across, those actual encounters that you're going to have, the ideas and what, you know, think about the 3 different directions they can go from where they are, kind of base your encounters on that. If you don't use the other, you're only going to use one. If you don't use the other 2, well, you have those ready for another game or for next time, or you can just always, then you make your next one, you have the other 2, always have 3 ahead. If you always have 3 ahead, it's a lot of prep in the beginning. Like your first probably month of DMing this way will be a little rough because you're trying to get ahead, you're trying to get ahead. As you DM, like I said, over I've been DMing for 5th edition for about 3 years, pretty hardcore now. I started with 5th edition, and I mean I have that's just 5th edition. And if I showed you my Excel sheets from 3rd edition and 2nd edition, well, 2nd edition I had nothing. 2nd edition I ran back in the 90s. I have nothing from because my house burned in 93, so I have nothing older than that. But all my 3rd edition stuff, I ran a lot of elaborate games. I have all the Excel sheets, all the maps, all the stats. I have everything I've ever ran in 3rd edition. I have still, and I can use that. Everything you ever do, if you keep it, you'll always be ready. So you're always, there's preparation and there's being prepared. It's kind of 2 different things when you're running a session. Preparation is what you're doing. Being prepared is you being prepared to run. Yeah, so you have your locations, your NPCs, your encounter ideas, maybe the environments you're going to need, the goals of those encounters. Like I said, 2 to 6 monsters. If you run all day and you're going to have 3 combats, well, I would prep 6 encounters because then you're 3 ahead. You have 3 to go. You have 3 ahead. And then the other benefit of the 3 ahead, say you have a rough week. You have to run on Sunday and you have a rough week and you just haven't had any time to prepare. And you got players coming and they want something to do. Because you're 3 encounters ahead, you're all ready to go. You just use those 3 encounters, you kind of fudge it and put them in your game, find a narrative way to put those encounters in your game, and you're okay. You did not prep at all, but you are prepared to run a game when the players show up. Then you have your physical things you're going to need to prep, which are your actual encounter maps or the system you're going to use to present your encounter maps. If you want to have minis or whatever, that's a whole other, that's not really part of prep. That's just what you have to work with. It's good to have graph paper references. It's good to have notes. But now some DMs need a lot of notes. Some do not. I just kind of have little bullet points. I'll show you. This is I put my stuff on clipboard. So here's a typical game. These are my players, stats and stuff that I need. This is not a good one because I only run 3. And these are just the basic notes that I have right here. The environment. These are the people they're going to meet, and these are the things that they're going to find. That's it. That's all I have ready for that session that we just ran. And I've run 2 sessions off that much information. That's all you need. And I'll put a better picture of this up there and show you some of my battle sheets and how I do that. Physical things, monster stats, stat blocks. Like I said, I like to print them out. I have my DM screen. I have a DM screen that's kind of off at the side of me when I DM, and I hang the monster stats from it. Like that's how I do. And I have my clipboard. I keep track of everything on my clipboard. I'll show you my battle sheets. And I'll take a picture of those battle sheets. Put them over on the thing over here because I have a little sheet that I make, and I keep track of hit points and spells and all that stuff. It's a super streamlined way to keep track of everything in the game. And then you're going to need your NPC physical things. You're going to need NPC traits and stat blocks. Like I said, I would use the basic spy, bandit, thug. You can use they're universal. NPCs are not supposed to be interacted with greatly. Now, if you want to make a more potent NPC who's like a villain, that's something different. Then you're making a stat block for a villain. Don't give villains player character classes. That's a waste of time. It's fun and it's cool. Oh, I'm gonna make my villain a monk. Well, that's cool, but you do not need to make a PC monk to run as an enemy. You just think about, well, what can a monk do? What are the abilities I want the monk that I want my villain to have? And just give your villain those abilities. But he can do a stunning strike. He can do extra attack. He can do all these things. I don't need a whole PC to do that. It's still the same stat block. It's just I have the abilities. Because why run a PC when you can literally run a stat block this big? That's all you need. You need the basic stats. You don't. PCs need that big sheet because they have all these powers. They have all these lives that they're dealing with. All these different parameters. The leveling up. They need to that sheet is going to be with them from level 1 to 10. Whereas a monster sheet is going to be with you for 20 minutes to an hour before they slaughter it. And maybe it's a recurring villain, you might need a little bit more, but either way, you're only going to need its basic stats. And then, like I said, 3 ahead. And then after you have all that, once you have all these, this is the mechanical stuff you're going to need to play your game. This is mechanical things that you as a DM need to be prepared for to handle in the game. Now, on top of that, now is going to be your storytelling, your world building, all that jazz. We'll do a whole other video on that. When you're prepping, don't worry about that. Worry about your table. Once you've got your table set up and what am I going to give the players to do, the world building and the storytelling will do it. It'll work itself out. You can do that on your own. You can be like, relax. I got my session ready. Now, how do I base this session that I've prepared? All these things that my ideas and my physical stuff. How do I make that fit my story, fit my world building that I've done? How do I put them together? Because you're going to be free to do that because your session's already done. You can just think about ideas and story now, narrative, because the tech is all done. So I hope that video helps. This is basically a minimal prep. I'm going to do some videos about how I prep an encounter, how I run an encounter. You'll see with all our gameplay videos how I do all my encounters. Kind of have 1 or 2 different things going on at once. I like to keep the players guessing. I like to keep the terrain as part of the session. Remember, there's a huge difference between preparing and being prepared. That's a huge difference there that people kind of overlook. Like, I'm going to prepare. I'm not prepared enough to run this game. I've been prepping, but I'm not prepared. Well, I don't have to prep. I'm always prepared. Because I do prep. Obviously, I'm running 5 games. I have to stay ahead of them. I'm always prepping for something, but I'm not. Usually, I'm prepping for the game that's 2 weeks from go. I'm thinking a week ahead because I'm so far ahead. And if I get to a Sunday and people are coming and I'm not ready, I have 2 huge games that I have to be ready for. They're massive story-driven. Like, I don't want to say on rails, but they're linear stories, so I have to be ready for those. I do a little bit more prep work for those. I have some West Marches that I run that I literally just show up. I have ideas and the world, they build the world, so I literally just show up with my 3 encounters, my monsters, my 3+ monsters, and my maps in my head, and we just go from there. Yeah, that's my video on preparation. I hope that helps you guys. Any questions or comments, throw them in the down below. I'm happy to be more specific or respond to any actual, like, any questions you're having or problems that you're having with your encounters. Shoot me a line. I prep a lot, so I've probably run into a problem that you're running into. I've probably run into it before, and I've probably found a way around it, or I know somebody else that found a way around it. I could lead you to them. So we are Omniverse Gamers. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. We're trying to keep this channel growing and trying to get as much information as we can out to the multiverse and you guys, and so you can just run better games. So have a great day, and I'll see you soon, and keep on gaming.